today we are here with Azgari LIPSHY.
That's it. I'm leaving. You pronounced my name wrong.
All
I'm
right.
kidding. I'm kidding. You actually did really well.
I know. Yeah, I worked on it. Azgari helps entrepreneurs launch a fully built SBA compliant service business in 90 to 120 days with zero royalties, no territory limits, and a money back plus $3,000 guarantee if they don't get paying clients. Without further ado, welcome to the show, Azgari.
Hello. Hello. Hi, Eric.
Yeah, well, hey, I struggled through there, but we got through it. And I'm definitely excited to be able to have you on the show and
Thank
learn a bit from you. So it sounds like you've been in business for some time now, and you had some ventures early on in life, and was able to learn a lot even while going to school and high school and also college. So we're definitely impressed and looking to learn more about exactly what it is that you guys are doing now. And it sounds like you guys are doing some remarkable things,
you.
helping service-based business entrepreneurs be able to generate income and launch a successful business. So we definitely are looking forward to the show and the conversation that we're going to be able to hold. But before we get into that part of the conversation, if you could share just a little bit more about yourself and also how you got started in business, that'd be great.
Sure. Like I said, I started at 16, a kid, didn't know a whole lot of anything. But I think, you can always point those kids who are always hustling things in the play yard, right? That was me. As a kid, I would have my mom buy me Barbie shoes, and then I would sell those at a profit. Of course, I got it for free from my mom to my friends. So I guess I started even before 16. And at 16, without realizing it, but what you would call now, in entrepreneurship, competitive advantages, right? Natural competitive advantages. For me, that was being born into a family where we have factories. So my father has factories for pharmaceutical manufacturing, food products, toiletries, several different verticals. And I leveraged that at 16 and created my own line of single herb supplements. And instead of doing direct to consumers, I focused on wholesale. And I think that was one of the biggest reasons for my success.
Nice. And so with wholesale, you're selling things or selling products directly to businesses. Am I correct on that?
No. So wholesalers, for example, if you see Cisco trucks outside of a Publix or HEB, they're a wholesaler, right? They're a large wholesaler that will sell, let's say, for this topic of conversation, let's say poultry. They will sell poultry to Walmart, Publix, HEB, other grocery stores, right? So they're the wholesalers.
Wow. Nice. Okay. And it sounds like your family is entrepreneurial. So your father that actually own a factory, or does he own the factories, or is he utilizing the factories?
Nope. He started all of it from scratch.
Wow. Nice. Okay. And so you've been around business for quite some time then. Do you, just curious, because a lot of us, we're first generation entrepreneurs that's learning a business, that had to work our way up from the bottom, and don't appreciate individuals that come from families that's been in business and has had a high level of success. But do you feel as if that's somewhat of an advantage for you to had been in a business oriented family?
I think it applies to almost every situation, right? If it's monkey see, monkey do. For me, seeing failure in business was a normal lunch conversation at the family dinner table. So understanding what it looks like on the other side of failure and seeing that it's still fine, and then you do something again, and then you can fail again or win. Either way, you'll be fine. Visually seeing that and actually going through it, I think it gives you a definite competitive edge, because I've started, failed, won in multiple things. And I don't think I would have had that guts had I not seen it.
Yeah. And that's what holds a lot of people back from even wanting to get started within business
Yeah.
is the fear of failure.
Yeah.
Because in college and high school, and even, in corporate America, you just don't want to make a mistake. And that's what's driven into each person's mind is don't make a mistake, because, that could be to your detriment. That could be a career that you end up losing, or a test that you end up failing. And so a lot of people, they're just so, um, they just don't want to put themselves out there to risk not being able to complete something successfully every single time. And so an entrepreneur, as you mentioned, you're constantly failing. You're constantly learning new things and learning on the fly. And so you're having to course correct quite a bit along the way. So that's really impressive. So if we could just kind of go back to the beginning. And so you mentioned that you started businesses at a really young age, and that transitioned into your teens and into college. Just kind of give us a peek inside of some of the businesses that you started and may have got some traction, but just turned into a fail initially.
So with my first company with single herb supplements, it did really well because I was able to start off selling in large volumes since my clients were wholesalers. And that did really well for 3 to 4 years, and it made me very cocky. So I decided to bite the hand that feeds you, right? Where I was like, okay, my margins are around 35% going with wholesale. If I went directly to retail, so, instead of selling to the wholesaler who's going to sell in retail shops, I wanted to go sell directly to the retail shops because it would improve my margins, theoretically, right? But being the dumb early 20-year-old that I was, I didn't count for the additional headaches, the infrastructure, the team requirement, everything that would go along with that extra, 20, 23% margin that I was going after. And I ended up onboarding a much larger sales team, which my manufacturing could not support, leading to, I don't think I even need to tell you what where that led to.
Yeah. And so you didn't really have the infrastructure for it. And so do you think if you would have been aware of that and built that process out, that the margins would have been more profitable?
I would have had to keep a lot more liquid capital tied up in production. So at the end of the day, not really. No.
Okay. Got it. And so you mentioned that this took place in your early 20s. So were you still in college, or had you just recently graduated at that point?
Still in college.
Okay. So you were operating a pretty good size business while going through college courses and the demands of college. How were you managing that? How were you able to scale that? Were you pretty much just hiring a lot of that out to be able to have someone else take the load on? What was the strategy that was working for you and helping you to be able to build your business on the side of a demanding college load?
I dropped out a lot of classes. I would drop out a lot of classes, reapply, take a semester off, or start a semester, quit for the whole semester. So it took me longer than the average gal to finish school.
Yeah. Well, but I love that though, because you were making it work. And that's what entrepreneurship is all about. We solve problems. We go in, we see how we can get things done, and we just put our head down and figure out ways to be able to accomplish things. So that's great that you were able to get through school eventually and build an amazing business. And so,
well, obviously I'm sure you can tell from my skin color, I'm a brown girl. And in a brown girl family, your parents are never going to let you live it if you don't finish school.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Well, so I mean, what that simply tells me is just work ethic. I mean, I love that. I love people that work extremely hard. I'm one of the same type of people. I instill that into my girls as well, and let them know that, hey, you just got to get after it. If you're gonna achieve anything that's worth being proud of, you're gonna have to go after it. So that's amazing.
Or it could also be Asian parents guilt trip. That helps
Mm-hmm.
too.
Yeah. Yep. Well, but I tell you what, Asians, you guys are thriving. So yeah, I'm really impressed. I love that work ethic.
Thank you.
So to bring things more up to current events, you're helping newer entrepreneurs get their foot in the door with business. You're concentrating on the service based business to help them be able to gain traction. Just kind of shine a light on exactly what it is that you do and the type of individuals that you're working with to help achieve a level of success.
Sure. I'll give you a little bit color on me in this space first, so that the context makes more sense. Over the last 5 years, I've launched 2 construction companies and also purchased a commercial franchise in the construction space as well, which in and of itself was a whole thing. We'll get into franchising in a later conversation if you like, but I'll go back to answering your current question. So since I moved away from product space and, consumer packaged goods, which is what supplements and the garment companies that I owned would qualify under, moved towards more service-based and now in construction, which falls under service-based business, because I'm able to do recurring revenue and manage a brand with low operational cost, and also manage it with a smaller team. That's much more possible with service-based industries rather than, trying to scale CPG and garments.
Okay.
So coming from that background, now I've realized that I started helping people start their own businesses almost without actually, planning to do that. About 3 years ago, I had 2 friends come to me asking me for help in, starting something. They didn't know what they wanted to start or what would be good for them, but they knew that if they stayed in their corporate managerial roles, the only mobility is maybe senior manager if you don't get laid off before that happens. And then to go from that to a director role, they didn't see a path. So they wanted to explore other alternatives, which is why they wanted my help. And at the time, I helped them set up the entire operational systems, helped them train their staff, helped them hire their staff. And then I trained them on how to actually manage all their operations and their team. Through the process of helping my friends, I started to create my own 8-phase process. And that is what I teach people now, to launch their business in a systematic 8-phase manner so that it increases your chance of success and also your chance of getting funding.
Okay. And so who are you working with for the most part? Are you having a lot of business owners that's looking to venture into service-based businesses coming to solicit your services, or are you having a lot of W-2 individuals that's looking to get started within business?
So there's 2 paths that we see clients coming to us mostly for. One is individuals who are either in 9 to 5 or recently got laid off and they don't want to go back into corporate. And as soon as we get them the SBA loan, they quit their job and start operating their business right away. And then I have a sector of clients who are way more risk averse. So we stay on as operational partner for about 12 months. So we launched the business, we operated with them, we set up all their management team, and we train the management team, but the business owner gets to keep his 9-to-5 job while we operate for a year, after which by then the managers are trained, and the business owner can decide if he wants to quit and take over his company now or keep managing it with the managers that we have in place.
Okay. Are there any individuals that's keeping their job and operating their businesses on the side that you're working with as well,
Yeah.
beyond that 12-month period?
I have a few clients who I've worked with for about 18 months, and now we're in discussion about expansion and how we can expand them into, bigger territories. And one of them is also considering turning their business into a franchise.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, I mean, after all, if you get into a business that's generating anywhere from 300 to 700,000, even if they are high income earners, and generally most high income earners are going to fall between that 100 to $400,000 range, that's still a really good margin to replace your income. Is there any concern about downturns that you promote with your clients?
What do you mean downturn?
So let's just say if they have some type of setback, if the economy turned, if their business take a step back in regards to them not being able to generate that 300 to 700,000 per year, or let's say a major competitor comes in and they take up or they get into some of their revenue. How do you prepare your clients for that, and what do you promote to be prepared for that?
That's a great question. I actually have some examples of very recent cases where we had to deal with similar situation. So the benefit of starting your own small service business as opposed to buying a service business franchise is you're not paying a large sum of money up front for a franchise fee, right? Most franchise fees are between 50 to 75,000 for a tiny territory of maybe 150, 250 households. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So right off the bat, before you've invested any money to actually launch your business with the franchise, you're already behind. If you bought one territory, that's 75,000 plus whatever training cost they charge. That's usually around 10, 20,000. So your ROI is already pushed out at least 100,000 minimum before you've actually invested in any vehicles or equipment, whatever else you might need for your business or your team expense. Does that make sense? So
Yes.
When you're starting a business from scratch, you've already moved your ROI much closer because you started with low capital. And at that, you were able to get, for the most part for our clients, an SBA loan, which the way we structure the loan, your repayment kind of aligns up with your revenue scaling. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, rein me back. I feel like I'm veering away from where you wanted me to go.
Yeah. So I was just asking,
Yeah.
is there any school of thought
Yeah.
that you pass on to your clients to somewhat hedge them for setbacks, or
Okay.
if the income dips,
Yeah.
different things like that, to
Yeah.
just have them prepared?
Yep. So I guess my reason for bringing up this earlier part is to align that because your startup capital is low and you're able to generate your ROI back, in most cases with us, within the first year, right? If not within 6 to 8 months. So if something happens, let's say a competitor came into the market and they just copied everything that we're doing, what made our offer unique, the niche that we've entered in. If that happens, we're able to pivot faster because our ongoing administrative cost is so low. We set up a lot of AI automations into your operations and marketing so that it not only saves you time, but your monthly ongoing cost is pretty low for running your company. And you already have your own staff, so you're able to pivot faster. right? We're able to make adjustments, whatever it is that is causing us to have a decline in our, ongoing monthly targets. We're able to make pivots faster.
Okay. Yeah, I love the fact that you stay along with your clients for that initial period of 12 months. And it sounds like you're even staying with a client for longer than that to get them prepared to launch full time into the business.
Yep.
And I'm just a huge advocate or proponent for individuals keeping their day job
Yep.
until they have enough capital to be able to replace it, or a business that's sustainable enough to produce that level of income that they have built and covers their overhead of life and for their families as well. So I love that piece.
So
You mentioned also low operational costs with these service based businesses. What do you guys see for expense ratios on service based businesses?
it's super low. I mean, your entire administration, you can set up with different software tools.
Wow, nice. Okay, so software tools can manage the entire business, but of course you've got to hire manpower. If
Yes.
I take it, if you're generating $300 to $700,000 per year, even in your first year, there's a few employees that has to be employed in order to achieve that. And so, on average, how many employees does your average client begin with?
So it's two different models, right? If you're wanting to operate your own business, then we're going to teach you how to operate all the tech stack that we implemented. And a lot of times our clients want to start with, minimum capital up front. So instead of hiring a salesperson, they manage their own sales initially. And also, instead of hiring the technicians who are going to go service the jobs, we're able to create trade partnerships with them and subcontractors. So those are 1099 employees that you're paying every time you have a paid job. So they're going out and doing the job and you're paying them for that. So they're essentially your 1099 employees, but actually subcontractors. So that's one model to launch with almost no staff. And then our clients who have a 9 to 5 job, so they can't be the ones running sales or looking at operations. With them, we teach them how to manage their administrative tasks, and all their tech stack. And then we train a salesperson to go out and get and land the jobs. And we hire a technician for them. In the beginning, usually part-time.
Okay, sweet. Yeah, that makes a lot more sense to have a 1099 independent contractor working under you. That way you don't have the constant overhead of having to locate work for this individual or just to keep them employed altogether. So that's extremely smart there. So if a person did want to pursue working with you and also starting a service-based business, what would the cost be, the initial cost for working with you, and also how much capital should they have on hand to be able to launch a service-based business?
So to answer that question, the first thing we would need to understand is, are they going to use their own capital or are they going to need a loan? We haven't launched any clients who didn't get a loan, to be honest, right? Because most of them are 9 to 5 employees. So they have steady income, which helps them qualify for an SBA loan.
Okay. And what is, let's say someone decided that they wanted to reach out and work together with you. What do you charge, or are you able to disclose that on
Sure.
this channel?
Yep. So our direct fees are $25,000 if you want us to launch the business in 120 days, which covers applying for your SBA loan and all the different steps that we take to make sure the business that we're choosing for you is going to do well in your market. So we do a lot of due diligence and competitive analysis in the front end before we even launch your business.
Nice. And I love the fact that you've got the money back guarantee.
Yeah,
There's not a whole lot of companies that
we'll do
would
that.
stand behind that. I mean, you guys are promising that they're going to receive paying clients, and then you'll reimburse the cash that they paid up front, and then on top of that, an extra $3,000. So that's outstanding as well.
Thank
Now,
you.
yeah, and so
Oh,
as far as service-based businesses, what all does that entail? What all industries will that cover? And I mean, of course, we can't name every one of them, but I mean, just on a an overview,
sure.
roughly,
Yeah.
what all services or industries will fall in that?
Do you live in a home or apartment?
It's a house,
Okay. So do you have a front lawn, back lawn?
both.
Okay. So do you have somebody who's coming and doing that for you?
Yes. Uh huh.
Okay. So that's a service-based business for lawn care.
Okay.
When was the last time you got your house painted?
Oh, it's been quite some time. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So that's another service-based business. Plumbing, maintenance. Now, everything I'm mentioning, that can be geared for commercial work too, right? If you lived in an apartment complex, your apartment complex has an HOA. That's a service business. They probably have a maintenance company that's going around cutting the grass for the entire complex. That's still a landscaping company, but it's a landscape company that's focused on commercial work. So even in the service-based space, there's commercial and residential and also government.
Okay.
But
Nice. Nice.
yeah, anything that services with recurring need, essential services with recurring needs.
Exactly. Yeah. So our business is in real estate, and so we invest
Cool.
in real estate quite a bit. And I've got colleagues. I've kind of started hearing some chatter from them about looking for businesses, because for a while back in 2022, the Fed they increased the interest rates, and they
Yeah.
made it really difficult for us commercial guys to be able to make the numbers work. And so we've been looking for opportunities to be able to generate income, and keep bringing good investments to our investors. And so a lot of people have started looking into buying businesses, and I've heard quite a few people mentioning these service-based businesses, and so it's pretty unique that you're sharing this, and that's your business of choice. Now, one thing that everyone pretty much has to be on high alert for is AI. So with these service-based businesses, what's the future look like for these? I know we've got autonomous cars that's coming down the pike pretty heavily. What do you think the shelf life is on these on these service-based businesses?
AI is your best friend in service-based businesses because it's helping us eliminate a lot of freelancer roles that a small business owner would have first needed to hire, right? With AI now, one business owner can run their entire marketing, ad, operations, even accounting and finance. You have software for all of those things. PR, you have software for that as well. So AI is your best friend if you're a small business owner. It is not taking your job. It is
No.
going to help you be more efficient and get more time back in your life.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. I've had the privilege of being able to cut my expenses down significantly from utilizing virtual assistants that would do different admin things. I can go into ChatGPT and punch in a prompt or two from some prompts that I've saved, and have work cranked out in 5 minutes that a lot of virtual assistants would have took a couple of days to do. And so yeah, it's definitely a good time to be in business. And AI, like a lot of people, they're so afraid of what it can do. But right now it's more or less just a guide, because you have to keep AI on the rails, because it can, go in a different direction if you're not well versed in it. And so I love how you're utilizing AI as a tool rather than training your clients to be afraid of it. So that's really good. So as far as scaling a service-based business and exits, what do we see with that, and what would that process look like?
So the first onboarding conversation that we have with our client is about exits, because most business owners or individuals who, had a 9-to-5 job, now they're going to be a first-time entrepreneur. They don't even think about exits. They don't even know that they should even think about exits, right? So bringing out that conversation on that first onboarding call gets them to start thinking in the mindset of an actual business owner, not a business operator. Does that make sense?
Oh no. Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah. You definitely want to start with the end in mind. Like Stephen Covey says, you have to build your business professionally, because you don't want the business to stop running because you're not a part of it. You actually want it to run without you. That came from the E-Myth. Michael Gerber creating that franchise model, even if it's not going to be a franchise, but just creating a business that can run without you. That's absolutely essential to actually having a business. So I love that you onboard your clients with that in mind on the first call. So that's great. That's great. We definitely appreciate that. We're going to turn the page and start wrapping things up. But before we do, we've got a portion of our show that we like to call our Moonlight Coaching Round. And typically what we do is ask our guests a few questions. Sure. If you could hold your response to between 1 to 2 minutes per question, okay, that'd be great.
Yep.
The first question I have for you is, how many hours a week would you recommend a person invest into building their service-based business in order to be successful?
If they're doing it part-time, right, they still have a 9-to-5 job, which means their mental bandwidth is already taken to full capacity, I would say, right? A 40-hour corporate job is all someone has mental bandwidth for. If that is your situation, I would say you need to be very strategic with time management and at least still carve out, even if you're hiring managers to run your business, still invest 2 to 3 hours per day in your business, whether if it's early in the morning from 6 to 8 and then at night from, 7 to 8 or 9 every day. And then on the weekends, you should really put in at least 5-6 hours. Yeah. And that would be an absentee model, right? For the first 6 months to a year.
Wow. And so you're still seeing people utilizing that type of model having success?
Yes, because when we work with them, there's no reason for them to be overwhelmed by, what do I do now? What do I do next? How do I do it? Which expert do I chase after? Do I go after this and that? When you have so much to think about as a new entrepreneur, your mental capacity is at a zero, especially if you already have a 9-to-5 job. So because we work with them and we give them tasks that they need to do this week, this day, it's a lot less mentally draining for them. And they're able to actually execute with us alongside.
Okay, great. Great advice. Okay, the next question I have for you is, what kind of advice could you offer someone about dealing with mistakes, staying determined, and knowing when to pivot?
Cut your losses as fast as you can, right? A lot of people have biases where it's like, oh God, I've already spent this much, or oh my God, I've already put in so much time. The moment you realize this isn't working, pivot. Don't try to beat that dead horse to death. It's already dead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. And especially speaking from a entrepreneur, because as entrepreneurs, we can try to squeeze that square peg into a round hole time and time again, and look around a year later and it's still not working.
It still doesn't breathe. Let it go.
Yeah. Yep. Kill it fast. Okay. So the next question is, if a person had minimal amounts of time, no money or experience, but they wanted to start a service-based business, what steps would you recommend for them to take to start and scale a business?
So again, I'm not saying this because I offer this service, but even if it's not me, do it with someone or a consultancy firm or a company, whatever it is, that has done it 10 times before. Because as many wonderful books and courses are out there to tell people that, yes, you can be a first-time entrepreneur by yourself, you cannot. You will make mistakes which are unnecessary, that you can avoid had you just gone with a firm that has done this before.
Yeah, it's always easier that way because you guys have already went down that road multiple times. You're working with other people that are seeing different things, and so you're collecting information from that front as well. And so you guys are definitely going to be able to guide a person past some landmines along the way. So I think that's really great advice. The final question I have for you, Azgari, is what would be the best advice you could give someone about operating a profitable business in terms of business finance?
Think in 12 years, 3-year terms, not this month, this bill. Because I think a lot of small business owners, when they see how much they're spending in marketing the first month or the second month and the revenue doesn't match, they start freaking out. Or they hire a staff, but the staff isn't able to or isn't performing at their full because they're new, right? There's a ramp up time. But as you're paying them salary, but outwardly you're not seeing the result or the performance that you want, people start panicking and they'll fire their staff too early. So I would say have your if you're not working with anyone, you're doing this yourself, create your 1-year forecast of what your expenses are going to be ahead of time and what your projected revenues are. And once you start matching the two, it's a lot easier to keep yourself calm, even though you're seeing, okay, this is part of a process. I have to, build up my market first. Yeah.
Okay. So think in 12 years, but break it down into 3-year components and stick with the plan. And so I love that. And as entrepreneurs, it can get really easy to bail a little bit too early with plans regarding with how things is going to forecast or turn out with the business. And so that's amazing that you said think 12 years down the road. And so many times have I heard entrepreneurs say those type of things. I heard Jeff Bezos mention that what he's doing today is for 3 years down the road. And so I think that's remarkable information and also outstanding advice. Before we let you go, if you could share with us a great business book or either a great personal development book that you would recommend for the Moonlight audience.
Leaders Eat Last, Simon Sinek.
Okay. Yeah. So I haven't actually read that one. I'll definitely have to add that to the wish list and give it a read. But I love Simon Sinek. He's got some great material and some great content for sure. Azgari, we definitely appreciate you coming on this podcast. You've shared up with us some great and valuable information. And to have a person of your caliber with your business acumen and also your family's business acumen that's been passed down and instilled in you is it's definitely been remarkable having you on the show. If someone listening to this episode decided that they wanted to reach out and connect with you, what would be the best way for them to be able to do so?
They can book a call with us through our website, azgari.com.
Okay. Well, guys, definitely reach out to her. She's doing some great things. She's well versed with that service-based business industry, and so I think you'll be in some great hands. Azgari, we definitely appreciate you coming on the show once again. We'd love to have you back anytime.
Thank you. Great meeting you too.